It's the Rangers Journal now.
Good evening, welcome everyone to everyone's favourite new Rangers podcast, the Rangers Journal. We're here, not pre-match pints for me tonight, Cammy. I know it's pre-match pints at the weekend for the boys. It's just the pre-match thoughts for tonight's game. How are you feeling tonight?
Just wanting the game to start, to be honest with you. I know that's amongst all the negativity, but you're that used to the away games being an early kick-off. It feels a bit strange to have the 8 o'clock kick-off. I would much prefer 6 o'clock, and then you can sit down and relax and watch the game later on. But yeah, I'm quite relaxed. I said before we went live, I'm quite relaxed about Rangers in Europe. They don't give me anywhere near as much anxiety as we do currently in the domestic game.
Well, as you say, mate, 8 o'clock kick-off. When I looked up, I just assumed Nice were Nice, but when I looked them up, it was OGC Nice, and I wondered, what does OGC stand for? So Olympic Gymnast Club de Nice, and we play them at their stadium tonight at 8 o'clock. All that aside from your either your anxiety or non-anxiety, how are you feeling about our position currently in the Europa League table? I think we're 10th or 11th, so just below that automatic qualifying place.
Listen, I think anything in the top 24 at the start of the games, I think we would all have been quite happy for what looked on paper a very difficult set of fixtures. So the same applies. Listen, it'd be brilliant to get into the top 8, but I think we've got a couple of really tough fixtures coming after this game tonight, and then we finish at home against USG. So a win tonight, essentially, you're qualified for the playoff after the 8 games are finished. You know, so I'm quite happy with where we're at. We've done pretty well, been reasonably competitive, haven't, other than the Lyon game at Ibrox, where I think they were just a far better side. I think we've competed well so far, and I think tonight this is a game that, rather than the last one against Olympiacos, I thought we had more chance of getting a point in this game than we did the last one. So if we could come away with a draw or anything better than that tonight, I would be delighted.
Well, you're talking about Lyon there in the Lyon game. They do sit in 5th place. This is Nice, 1 place ahead of Lyon. I think it's 1 point ahead in the domestic league. Now, we know as fans of our club at the moment that domestic doesn't always tell you the full story of what we're going to be like in Europe. So I had a look back at the kind of European results that Nice have had. Suffered quite a bad 4-1 defeat to Lazio. Don't know if it's the same Lazio team that them across the city played a year or so back, wasn't it? They also got beat off Ferencváros and they drew with FC 20 as well as a draw in their first game. So 2 draws, 2 defeats. Does that reinforce what you're saying there, that you think this is when obviously these games haven't been played when the draw was made, but you still were hopeful would take some points? Does that back up that you're kind of feeling?
I think it's sometimes it depends when you look at it at the start, and then it sometimes just depends where both teams lie at the time that you actually play each other. So they very much need a win. They haven't had the greatest of starts, but that might work to our advantage, and it might offer us a bit more space, and hopefully we can be. I think if we can back up the performances in Malmo and in Olympiacos, probably 2 of the best is probably stretching it. 2 of the better Rangers performances this season have been away in Europe. So I think if we show the same sort of organisation, certainly as we did against Olympiacos particularly, and we're a bit more clinical in our finishing, which is an age-old problem, I'm confident we'll come away with at least a point tonight.
And I mean, a point puts us in pretty good stead. It's not guaranteed. I think we're pretty much guaranteed if we get a win to go through, but it's not maybe 100%, but maybe you've got 1 foot in the door if we get a draw this evening, which does kind of take the pressure off with the 2 big games, Tottenham in 2 weeks' time, isn't it? Man United. So, we would never just give up in those games and say that we're going to get defeated. But the high likelihood is that these two Premiership teams will come. We go to Manchester United, but we're probably not going to pick up too many points in those two games as much as we'd always go in hopeful. I think you're like me that way, mate.
I think it would be. Listen, I think it would be great, and I think the comment "get the points bagged so there's less stress" versus Spurs and United, I think is. I think that'd be fantastic. Put us onto 10 points, and we could loosely enjoy the games against Spurs and Man United. So, 2 weeks until we play Spurs is quite a scary thought. But there's so much football between now and then. But a win tonight, I think, would be fantastic. But I think coming away with anything, I think would be continue the decent away form in Europe under Philip Clement, which I think has been his major positive across the last 12 months.
Is that whole kind of thing that we had with Gio as well? Can we have him for the European nights, and we'll get another manager in for the SPFL games? So the press conference was yesterday. I thought the manager looked a lot more relaxed than he did at the weekend. He certainly kind of came out firing. He made a comment about how everybody says he's a year into the job. He seems to think that he's only 4 months into this because this is his rebuild now. A wee bit annoying for me hearing them say these kind of comments, rather than just take it on board and admit that things aren't working at the moment. What did you make of his press conference?
I'm struggling with these press conferences, and basically I don't know if they're coming around so quickly. But just he's doubling down, and I think he very much thinks that he's here for the long term. And as he said, this 4 months situation, I was hoping after that international break that we would hear the last of talk about rebuilds. I know I've just used those words, but I'm not the manager of Rangers. Just concentrate on talking about where we are, and concentrate on making the performances better and making us better to watch. I think he's in a competition. He's in a competition with Michael Beale in the latter stages of his tenure as Rangers manager for just waffling. Why I've got a cheek, but why use 20 words when 200 would do? Appears to be his approach at the moment, and I am not listening directly to his chat. I'm getting it via other means, and that's enough for me. It's that's just where we are at the moment, and the only way that Philip Clement can change that is better Rangers performances and winning results. But he's delusional's probably, but I think he's just stubborn. I think I've used that on very many occasions, that he is very stubborn and very stuck on this is the way I want to play, and he talks very similar. And again, I said Eric Ten Hag when he was at Man United. I think him and Philip Clement are cut from the same cloth. They very much see things on pitches that us fans don't, and it's very much polishing things to be better. I think he said that we were much better in the second half on Sunday. Well, it wasn't a high bar because the first half was absolutely abysmal. So yeah, we were better than the first half. But I would just rather honesty. I said this 2 or 3 weeks ago. I would just rather, without throwing players under a bus, just be honest and say. And I think he said domestically we're not hitting it. We will get better, rather than using rebuilds and we've not had this player available and that player available. Just cut to the chase and say we're working hard to get better and win games, without coming up with excuses and reasons why things are happening.
I wasn't wanting this to be a negative pod, Cammy, so we'll move away from the manager bashing.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be bashing. I'm just trying to echo my thoughts on his pre-match comments. I just think that it is what it is. But we'll move on.
It wasn't a slight on you at all, Cammy, because I think we're all feeling like these things. We're all feeling the same way about him, and I think a lot of us have felt that it's probably not going to turn around. But we're going to stop there. on that side of things. Let's just go for positive tonight. We've got a game this evening. We've been looking forward to it. What do you expect? Let's go through a kind of spine or the kind of major points in the team. Are you expecting a Tavernier start tonight, or do you think Sterling will come in or keep his place even?
I will be surprised if Tavernier doesn't start tonight. I just think we're in a situation. I said this before. I think the right backs will be rotated. I think if Tav starts tonight, Sterling will start on Sunday, or vice versa. Personally, I would start Sterling tonight. I just think that away from home, I think he was solid in Olympiacos. That's so I would go. I expect Robin Proper again to play alongside Suter. He wasn't great at the weekend, and Jeff Day I think will play. So I think I would go Sterling, Suter, Proper, and Jeff Day with obviously Jack Butland in goals. And again, Sunday you bring Balogun in because I think he's probably more suited to going away to St Johnstone, and I don't think certain players can play as much as Philip Clement talks about it every 3 or 4 days. Or some players have to be put taken in and out, and I think that's just the way it's going to be in a couple of positions.
John Suter mentioned in his pre-match press conference that he's now playing. When he first came into the club, he was in a bad way, but he's now able to play every 3 games or so. I take it you're expecting him. You just said you expect him to start. Is it too much for him though, considering his kind of injury history? He
seems quite comfortable. I think he's obviously played 4 or 5 games for the national side as well. He's touchwood not missed any football. He obviously feels confident in his head, confident in his body. So I think the fact that the manager's very taken by sports science, and I'm sure if there was red flags over John Suter, he would have been taken out. But I think he's very much, it's John Suter and another at the moment, as much as it's still a position that I think we still need to sign a centre half. I think at this point in time, John Suter is the number 1 centre half.
And you said Jeff Tate left back. I don't disagree that I think that's what probably will happen. But it was interesting seeing Yilmaz, Ridvan Yilmaz come on at the weekend. I would like to see what it'd be like. Maybe this isn't the game for it, but I'd like to see Yilmaz as left back and Jeff Tate ahead of him, and then that means you can bring again name escapes me.
Bayrami,
and it's always his name. Bayrami in the actual number 10 position centrally where he plays. We don't have Hadji obviously to play this evening. You mentioned before that there's a few of the players we don't have. Run. You said it before we started. There's a few.
I think what you're saying, the Dublin, the 2 left back situation, I think is something that I think we could do. The fact that Ridvan's just back after another injury, does he have enough in the tank to do that? Bayrami, we haven't seen a lot in the sort of number 10 position, although I think it'll probably be more a 6 and 2 8s, but we're limited as much as no laughing at the back. Matondo, Cortez, Hadji, we are very limited in the options that we've got. I'm expecting somebody to throw Finlay Curtis into the mix on the left-hand side of the attack because he's playing so well for the B team in the academy.
He was on the plane, wasn't he?
He was, but he's certainly. I think he'll be on the bench tonight. But he's been playing off that left side of the attack. But I think it's a big ask to make what is effectively your Rangers debut in an away game in Europe. But the double, the Yilmaz Jeff Day, I wouldn't disagree with. But I do think that it will be Jeff Day and Bayrami, and the other 3 will be the ones that started at the weekend, and obviously hopefully we see the better version of Mohamed Diamandi than we have done. He's been okay in Europe, so hopefully that he brings that to the park tonight.
What worries me, they're a point ahead of Lyon in the league. I feel the difference that night was Lyon's forward line, and that could mean that you bring in Sterling in midfield as opposed to Diamande. I'm just kind of spitballing, I guess, but it's going to be a tough night. I know you were saying you looked at this game before and thought that we could get points at it. Still, they're a good team. They play in one of the top 5 leagues. This is not going to be we're probably going to be defending most of the game, to be fair. Up front, Cammy, I think you agree with me that I don't like it, but the only option we really have is Dessers. I mean, would you consider throwing a man in there?
No, I think Dessers has actually been okay. Again, away in Europe, he's done okay. But the one thing he has to do much better is hold the ball. He has to hold the ball in. If we're not going to have a lot of the ball, and they're going to be attacking a lot, when the opportunity comes, the ball has to stick with him. And I think he's very much hot and cold in that aspect of it. If he can do that and take any chances that come along, but Igaman, I think, is very raw and a long way from it. We're in a situation Danilo isn't in the Europa League, so for the remaining matches against Nice, Spurs, Man United, and USG, Dessers will be the starting number 9. But domestically, you have to be starting to start Danilo for me. But for tonight, I don't think it's there's any real discussion unless you go down the road of false nines and stuff, and then you ask yourself who would play the false 9, because they like say Hadji or somebody along those Bayrami or whatever. But he's not going to try something that he's not
Diamande.
Aye, possibly, but I just don't. He doesn't strike me as the type of manager that's going to use this game as it'll be very much horses for courses, and I don't think there will be any major surprises. I don't think we have the options, to be perfectly honest with you, and as much as some B team players are showing up, it's not going to happen. He's not going to throw a young player in. Zach Lovelace has obviously picked up another injury, which is obviously unfortunate for him. That's another option off that left hand side. But I think, bar a couple of decisions tonight, I think the team pretty much picks itself.
Well, I'll speak to Scotty about this, but maybe in future we'll time it that we get the team sheet, because that would be handy for a pre-match thought. But I don't put much value in score predictions, mate, so I'm not going to ask you for your score prediction, but do you feel we'll come away with something tonight?
I don't. I think 1-1. I think that'll. I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy with that. Anything more than that would be fantastic. A performance like we've seen, as I said earlier on, an organised performance in possession and out of possession like we did in Olympiacos. I think the Nice manager referenced the fact that there isn't much wrong with Rangers in Europe.
Yeah,
certainly away from home, and I think that's fairly accurate. It's but it's very much, it mirrors Rangers of recent years in Europe, where we've, in my lifetime, I've never seen a consistent spell of Rangers performances across the last 5 or 6 years like we have done since Steven Gerrard came in, and I think tonight we'll continue that unbeaten run under Philippe Clement away from home.
Well, I mean, you're on the post-match, so we'll get your thoughts after the game. I think, was it 10:30, 10:15?
I have no idea. After and maybe see, to be honest with you, if we've won 3-0, we'll be on as soon as the final whistle, and I'll be sitting with my feet up and I'll be happy. You know, I hope I hope I'm certainly as bright after the match, but these European games are a bit of a distraction from what's going on domestically for me. And I think if you could get a performance and a result tonight, it could only help confidence. You know, I know we've said that several times this season, that's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but we can only deal with what we've got tonight and come away with a point minimum. And you know, I'd be happy with that.
Well, thanks very much, Cammy, for coming on. Again, we'll see you at 10:15 after the game. So please join us if you want to kind of de-stress or decompress, whatever you want to say after the game, or hopefully celebrate with us after the game this evening. So yeah, 10:15 later on this evening after the game, we'll be back. So thank you everyone for your comments. Thank you everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. You can listen to us on the podcast apps as well. And just hope your team wins tonight. So see you guys.